Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. You remember how I made my last video talking about female robots being implemented with muscles that are 100 times stronger than human muscles? Well, let's come back to stateside in the United States. They have some released robots here, and these are just robots. They're not humanoids at all. A lot of the grocery robots, which I was going to do a whole piece on, I may still do a whole piece on that. A lot of the grocery robots that introduce people to, let's say, events. Instead of an information booth, you have a robot that talks to you. Greeting robots, they now have robots that will greet you at the door. So instead of old people, they have robot greeters. And here is the story. Robot abuse. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, robot abuse. And they're talking about it in that sort of way. Robot abuse. Well, what about robot abuse? What's the story? Everything from the shopping robot to the greeter robot. They're saying that the robots are all being abused. And who they blame for the robot abuse? Teenagers. But when you look at the story, you say that they say that the robots have suffered everything from being kicked, punched, tipped over, and beer thrown at them. Now, hold on. Sure, if you're going to talk about teenagers being abused, being abusive, and the way that they've said is everything was going fine, and all of the people interacting with the robots or being near the robots have all been handy-dandy, civil citizens using the robot services as you're supposed to. But they could not account for the teenagers because the teenagers are just something you cannot overcome or even predict. Well, one thing about teenagers is teenagers don't buy alcohol. They don't buy beer. So I don't buy the story that it's teenagers abusing these robots. And then, of course, they're calling out the national news. There's a whole page in the national news now of robot abuse because, once they get one story, everybody else has to tell their story about robot abuse. I don't buy it. Hold your horses. Do you know what they're trying to do now? With the story of the robot abuse, so that's the problem, right? Robot abuse is the problem. And we're talking about real live robots. Not humanoids, not just advanced toasters. We're not talking about the stuff that I've been talking about. Lego robots. I mean, we're talking about basic micro machine robots. And they're trying to introduce robot rights. That robots can be citizens. That robots have legal rights all of their own. This is in the United States. I'm sounding the alarm. I know you all are asleep. You don't care about anything. You're just going to sit and let stuff happen to you. But maybe one of you out there, maybe 10 of you, maybe 50 of you might actually do something. And what's the appropriate response to this? A robot should have no more rights or any claims to citizenship than your car. Why? Because a lot of cars today are far more advanced than the robots we're actually talking about now. The grocery store robots scan the shelves and through the internet, through the wireless, sends the information to a main computer. That's all they do. They're trying to give citizenship and rights to the robot. We're not talking about the claims of vandalism. We're talking about they are trying to implement citizenship for a calculator. Do you know your 2017, 2018, 2006 car was already more advanced than you possibly could ever have imagined? 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It does far more than just scan a shelf. And absolutely no one with a brain is talking about giving your car citizenship. Because if your car can have citizenship and rights, then you can't own a car. So that's how ludicrous the idea to give these toasters rights. And what are we talking about? Human rights? It's crazy. It's categorically insane. I hope that my presentation to you gets you aware of this topic and aware what they're actually trying to do. Saudi Arabia gave citizenship to the robot called Sophia. Sophia actually is not a humanoid, is not an actroid, is not a fembot, is not a gynoid. The operative term there is she is not a gynoid. A gynoid would have full capability, mentally, I guess, artificial intelligence. She's not artificial intelligence at all. I know they make it look like, but I can make a video game and you go in the video game and talk to a woman in a video game and you swear up and down that that is a full-fledged thinking AI, and it's not. With some nice little tricks from psychology, nice little program under your hat, nice little college degree logic, nice little human observation of behavior, you can make something that has zero AI respond to a human being, and a human being will be convinced that it's AI. When all it is extensive programming. That's all it is. And in my book, that is not AI. What they're talking about AI, what their concept is of AI, artificial intelligence, is that they create the artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence has everything that a human baby has. So that the artificial intelligence absorbs knowledge of its own and applies such knowledge by itself with no more programmer interaction. It learns, it remembers, it applies from memory experience to new experiences. That's AI. These toasters are not AI. Sophia is not AI. She has no beginning of AI. And in fact, the CEO of Facebook came out and said that Sophia is not AI, and they know it. They're trying to get funding. More power to them. And speaking of funding, please fund this channel, patreon.com/Shakaama. I need funding just like everybody else needs funding. And please don't argue with me about go get a job. Funding is funding. When I ask you for funding, do you know what the word means? Go look it up. Coca-Cola does it. YouTube does it. Google does it. Facebook does it. It's called funding. Know what you're talking about before you come at me. People are asking for the videos. People are applauding the videos. But when I say, please fund me, like every other powerful and big YouTuber on this platform, all of a sudden there's a problem. Why do you have a problem with me asking for funding, but PewDiePie asking for funding you don't have a problem with? All the big YouTubers have Patreons. I have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Shakaama. If you're poor, I'm not asking you. I'm not a preacher. I'm not asking you to give your last dime to me. That is not who I am. I'm talking about people with money. Just FYI, I have a lot of people with money who are subscribed to me. Google tells me. On the one hand, Google applauds me for the older, richer subscribers that I have, but all the poor people wanted to speak up and say, how dare you? I'm not talking to you. It doesn't apply to you. You're poor. You're broke. You can't fund anybody. If I ask for $1,000 each, are you in that conversation? No. See your way out. When Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton asked for $30,000 per dinner plate, are you in that conversation? No. So why are you talking to me? Just because you can? Well, you're wasting time. If you want to talk about something, say, this is fantastic, or this is horrible, or whatever you want to talk about. So they're all ready before the real robots have come. And when I say real robots, I mean the Japanese robots, Chinese robots that can talk to you, cook your food, do your cleaning, wash the dishes, sweep up, dust the house, fold your clothes. I'm going to do a video just about the Japanese robot cooking food. That'll be my next project. They're already talking about these toasters getting citizenship. The robots that if you click the button would turn off. Let's get a robot to be able to learn their ABCs all by themselves like human children do. Let's get the robots to understand abstract concepts of right versus right. Show me how smart all of you all are. Write me 4 definitions of the word right and distinguish all of the words right with the different spellings of the word right. And you will understand that a computer, as of yet, can't even do that. You write me all the definitions. I know some people are not going to get it. Thank you all for watching. Like the video. Peace.